right. Hello, everyone. I'm still here. This is Sarah. And it's not really going to be a serious post today. What I wanted to talk about is a couple of hints, tricks, sort of routines that I figured out for the colostomy bag. Now, as you know, there's different kinds of bags. There's ileostomy, colostomy, and then there's also one for your bladder as well. I have a colostomy, so it's more towards the end of my colon. So my sigmoid colon was taken out. So mine sits on my left, and it's sort of in the upper quadrant of my stomach. And when I first got out of the hospital, I was really, really worried about the effect that this was going to have on my life. And I've actually found out it's really not that big of a deal. And I've mentioned this before, but there's a couple of things that have made things much easier. One is shapewear. So I have just a clear bag. So I know that I can buy a cover to put on it, but I don't want anything bulkier on there. So what I do is I have several pairs of like hot pants that just have a super high waist, and they're shapewear. So basically covers everything, keeps the bag from crinkling as much. It also, if your shirt accidentally lifts up, you're not going to see it. The other thing about it is if you have a colostomy bag, chances are you probably have an open scar. So a scar that would have been from your pelvic bone up to almost your ribs. And you probably have some other scars as well. And so that skin there just becomes really, really sensitive. What is that noise? It becomes really sensitive to your jeans or your zipper, or if you're wearing underwear that's got like a little bit of a lace edge. Sometimes that can just be too much. So it's just kind of nice. You just throw it on under your clothes. Of course, it makes your jeans fit better. It makes, gives you a nice silhouette. So I've never had to use shapewear before, but I do now. The only thing with shapewear is that it's very thick, kind of non-breathable. Even if you get the ones with the cotton gusseted crotch, it still feels pretty unbreathable. So it's not something that you necessarily want to wear all day, every day. So it's something that I'll put on to go to work, or if I'm going to be social, anytime where I just don't want to have to think about, what's going on down here. The other drawback to it, sometimes if your shapewear is too tight, it can kind of inhibit the outflow. And if that's the case, it doesn't happen very often. If I feel like it's struggling to sort of push out, then I'll just lower the shapewear until it's finished. And usually when it's emptying, it doesn't take more than a couple of minutes to sort of push things through. It's like going to the bathroom, like I know some people spend a lot of time on the bathroom. I was never in there for more than 3 or 4 minutes. So anyway, so that's a good option. Now I wear tight clothes. I wear fitted shirts. I tuck in my shirts. I wear belts. I wear tight jeans. I wear leggings very occasionally. And so I really wanted for this to be, not something that affected what kind of clothes I was going to wear. The other thing is the way that the bags that I've actually decided to use, the ones that work best for me, are the one-piece drainables. And they don't have the vent on them. I found that the vent doesn't work as promised, and there is some smell from it. So I just do a completely sealed. If I need to, if I get too much air, sometimes you'll just, and you can just feel it. And usually you can just excuse yourself and go and empty the air out of your bag. So you're burping it basically, and leave it flat again. So that's worked really, really well. If I don't want to do the full underwear waist shapewear, I'll do just like a post-pregnancy shapewear. So it's basically just from the bottom of your ribs to about your pelvic area. And again, it just keeps everything tidy. You don't have to worry about your shirt becoming untucked or lifting and seeing it, because I do use clear bags. I have not found a I've not found a bag like this that I like as much as this that's opaque. And hopefully you can see me okay still. I'm gonna move this just a little bit. Now when you go on Amazon and you're looking for bags, it can be a little bit frustrating because you'll see something with really, really good reviews and you'll think, okay, that's probably a good bag to take a chance on. And then you start reading through the reviews and you see these really terrible reviews. You're like, oh, well, I'm not going to deal with that. People who spend, $30 to $50 for 10 of these and they all fail, which I've just found like a kind that doesn't fail. That's the most important thing to me. And so I hesitate to try anything new. A couple factors with the actual bag itself. I've tried now probably about 5 of them, and I've tried the ones with the filters. I've tried the 2-piece ones. I've tried the opaque. And a couple things that were important for me. For me, I want to, and some people actually do just the closed, the non-drainable ones, and they just pop it off every time that they need to change it. I don't like that because I like to manage the content. So I like to manage the air, and then if I do feel like it's getting too full, I want to be able to switch that out without having to throw away the whole bag. So when you're going to the restroom and you have a 1-piece and you pop the 1-piece off, you can't just throw it into the toilet. So you always have to have little, scent, what do they call it, odor-free bags. So basically they're like the size of a dog poop bag, but they just don't have they don't let out any odor. So you put your bag into that and then you can throw it into the trash. That just seems like a little bit too much trouble for me. And also I don't like the idea of the 2-piece because I just noticed it seemed a little bit messier. So when you pop off the bag and you're cleaning through there, it just seemed like I couldn't get it as clean as I wanted to. And also I noticed that just having that just like one more junction that air or smell can get through. Also, on a side note, anytime that you smell anything, anytime anyone farts around you, or a few days ago it was my dog in the back, she had terrible breath, or he had terrible breath, and so he was just panting like crazy in the car. And so I think you kind of develop a hypersensitivity to smell. So you either think it's you, or you're afraid it's you, or you maybe smell something that's not there. And I had heard about that when I first got it. They called it a phantom smell, that no one else can smell it but you. And whether it's psychological or psychosomatic or not, it's real. And it's the smell aspect is the one thing that does give me anxiety when I'm at work, basically. When I'm in public, I'm not that worried about it, but for what I do for a living, I'm in really close quarters, in a room with someone for an hour to 2 hours. And so that is a factor. In the beginning, The crinkling noise when you move around or if it gets pushed on, that made me really self-conscious. I kind of don't care about that anymore. I've come to realize that, for one, people don't really hear it. I'm the one that hears it, and I don't think most people, unless they know you have a bag, would never think it's a bag. They would think it was something else, if they even thought anything about it at all. So the noise factor, while in the beginning it was a concern, and I searched high and low for quiet bags, turns out they were quite expensive, and I just wasn't willing. So for me, the most important thing was to have a bag that I could control the amount and that it would not fail. Another factor in choosing a bag is actually having one where the wafer, the barrier, is not too thick. So in the beginning, I got some bags that had a really big, sort of an extra large sized barrier, and it was really thick, like maybe double the thickness of what I would say would be like a normal like wafer, whatever that thing is called. You know what I'm talking about. The only bags that I've had fail were the ones with the really, really thick wafer on it. And what happens is they're so thick, and if you bend over, you can actually start to warp it. And so you bend over, it warps, and then you go to stand back up again, and it sort of creates these gaps between your skin and between the wafer. And two of the bags that I had that failed, both of them were like that. And in the beginning, I thought the thicker would be better, but it's actually not. So the thinner wafer has worked best for me. I use the stoma adhesive just around the opening, almost in contact with the stoma itself, and that seems to have worked pretty well. I might actually do some editing and throw a couple of pictures in. You really can't see it at all, and in fact, it's really, really convenient. And I know that I've mentioned this before in my videos, is that, you know, on some days I might empty it 3 to 4 times, but it's always at my leisure. I'm never running to the bathroom anymore. And for any of us, or for probably most of us who have one of these now, usually we came here because we had IBS or Crohn's or colon cancer, which causes IBS symptoms. So we were in the bathroom all the time. Going to the bathroom was so stressful. So stressful. So this is super convenient, and it's easy to keep clean. Hold on. It's about 65 degrees out. Northern Eastern California right now. It's the end. Well, it's not the end. It's probably it's just coming up on the middle of November, and we're having just some really beautiful weather. So I haven't put my deck furniture away yet. Anyways, I don't have any plans to swim with the stoma. Mine's temporary. I'm not a big swimmer anyways. I do miss soaking in hot tubs and soaking in bathtubs. I'm just not comfortable with the barrier getting wet. I don't want any moisture in there. You know, your abdominal skin is just so sensitive. If it works for you, great. It just doesn't for me. If this is something that I'm going to be stuck with permanently, then maybe I would have a change of mind about that. But the other thing is I also don't shower with it either. So every time I shower, I take the entire thing off, and when you're in the shower, you just, you don't necessarily wash it or scrub it. There's not a whole lot you have to do. I just kind of let soapy water just really, really gently rinse around it until it's clean. I might exfoliate. If my skin is healthy around the stoma, then I might do a little bit of exfoliation just to keep the skin sort of fresh. Obviously, if I'm having any skin breakdown, I don't do that. But honestly, I might shower 3 times a week. So for people who shower every day and they must shower every day, people do that. I know that people do shower with these. Keep looking on, YouTube, and actually TikTok has been a really good resource. Who knew? But for me, I personally don't. And what I do is I shower in the evenings, and I make sure that I have a couple of hours of spare time. So, and I can do this because my schedule is super flexible. So, the night before I start work the next day, I will take a shower, leave it off, and leave it open. Now, I also do this when I know that it's not going to be active, when it's kind of done its thing for the day, when I haven't eaten. Usually you eat and then it's immediately active. So if I haven't eaten anything for a while, nothing's been happening, I'll take a couple hours and shower. So take the whole thing off, shower as usual. The only thing that I do differently is when I get out of the shower, just really gently pat it dry. And then what I'll do is I'll take a wound dressing, like maybe a 4x4 gauze, just something, and something that can breathe. And so what I'll do is I'll just sort of gently put that over the exposed stoma, and then I'll tape the bottom, and then I'll tape the sides. And so that way that skin around it gets some air. And if it does become active, it's not a big deal. The dressing or the gauze catches it, unless you have diarrhea, which I never have. Everything happens really slow, so it's coming, so you can get yourself to the bathroom. But I do like to leave it open, 2-3 hours, just as long as I possibly can. Another trick that I do is buy yourself an aloe vera plant, and if you've used aloe vera before, I'm not talking the stuff that comes in the bottles, like a fresh aloe vera plant. If you've used it before, you know what I'm talking about. It's absolutely amazing for your skin, for sunburns, for any kind of burn, skin irritation. It's just aloe vera is so good for your skin. So what I've been doing is just cutting off, a little, maybe 1/2 inch at the most, piece of the leaf, and then you just kind of slice it open to expose the gel inside. What I do actually is take a little bit of that gel, put it on my face, because it's really, really good for your face skin. Well, it's good for all your skin, but it's really, really especially good for your face. If you haven't worked with it before, it's a clear, sort of almost a slimy kind of gel, and you just spread it on your face and then just let it soak in. You don't have to rinse it off, you just let it do its thing. And I always notice that when I'm doing that regularly, my face looks a lot better, fresher, just healthier. And then with the rest of the aloe vera that I have left over, I will do the same, and I will just coat all of the skin around the stoma. So where the adhesive goes, I just do that whole area, but then especially, within an inch diameter, well, let's say here, an inch around where I think the skin sort of takes the most abuse from the stickiness of the wafer, the irritation from the paper, sort of cloth tape that's around it as well, and then plus you just have the contents, and if you get a little bit of seepage under your wafer, that those contents sit up against your abdominal skin, and it's just not great for it. So So that's my deal. I get out of the shower, I do the aloe vera thing, put it on my face, put it on my stoma, let it dry. It just takes a couple seconds to dry, and then just loosely tape the, like a piece of gauze or dressing, something that's sterile but doesn't have to be. And then just kind of loosely tape that over, and then just, go about your business for the night, watch a movie, just hang out, get on TikTok. You can get on TikTok, and next thing you know, you've been on there for 3 hours. So it's not hard to waste time anymore. And speaking of TikTok, I specifically did a search for colostomy on TikTok, and I actually got a ton of not only really, really good information, but also really sort of lighthearted information. So you'll find all kinds of people on there, people with a really, really great sense of humors, that have nicknames for it. They have nicknames for themselves. They have nicknames for it. They're very funny, sort of very open, very open about it. Obviously, you're on TikTok, but you can tell, like, in their lives, it's not something that that bothers them. And so the sense of humor is always really good, but you do get some good information. And there's some, a lot of people on there that get on just to answer questions, and I think, just bringing awareness that this is a thing that some people have, and more people are going to more people have been having them and are going to be having them as colon cancer rates continue to climb. Crohn's, IBS, diverticulitis, those are all super, super common issues nowadays. Not to mention, if you just have, I think one girl had one she had chronic constipation. And it's interesting because most everyone's attitude that I've come across has been just so thankful that once you put this into perspective, you become really, really grateful for it. And then you actually discover these benefits, super, super convenient. And this is going to be a TMI, and this is one thing I noticed that some people have and some people don't. And I don't think it's anything to be concerned about. Some people still will have very small output if they still have their rectum intact. I still do, and so probably a couple times a week I'll get like a phantom, I wouldn't call it a spasm, but like a normal spasm when you have to go to the bathroom, which just, I'll feel it. I still feel. So even when this is active, there's still a nerve signal that's going to my rectum, and I actually think that's a good thing because this is temporary. And when they put my plumbing back together, that I still want all of that functionality. I still want the nerves to work. I still want the muscles to function as they would normally. And then some people just don't. They don't have any movement down there at all. And I asked my doctor about it, and completely normal, and it's just basically part of your, whatever's left in your rectum still creates mucus, and that's, it's a healthy self-washing thing. And it's also, bacteria, sort of natural bacteria, die and slough off, and so you might have some movements, and it always feels a little bit strange, but yeah, I'll leave it on that note. I think I hope you got something out of this, but yeah, I think that's all that I wanted to cover. Get on TikTok, get on YouTube. Thanks for hanging in here with me for 25 minutes talking about colostomy bags. If you have any questions, you have any comments, any suggestions, please leave them below. But otherwise, enjoy your day, and I hope all is going well. All right, bye.